Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And I am trying to get my stream to pop up onto my tablet. So far as not wanting to come up, but I'm going to keep trying because that is how I'm able to see the chat. There we go. Now it's there. There is a bit of a delay. And Waffles is here. He is the one who sent in the 2024 pack US MRE Case B, menus 13 to 24. And this happens to be menu 24, the Southwest style beef with black beans with sauce. I did not add that with sauce part to the title because that would have just been too long. But I can already see there's something in here that I like. And it's not the peanut M&Ms, although I do like those. I'm slitting this because that's the easiest way to open it without ripping the crap out of it. Sterling Foods, the Chipotle tortillas. I wish we could buy these in stores. And this has the nutrition information and the ingredients for both retort pouches. Got the creamy blueberry cobbler, or cherry blueberry cobbler, and the main Southwest beef with black beans. This one. This one here is the cobbler. This is an applesauce pound cake. Actually would have preferred to have a cookie with the cobbler because then I would combine the two. Got regular cheese spread. Here are the peanut M&Ms. Looks like I won't have to go back to my backup plan after all, because got the Bill's Brew. So I'll put my backup plan back in my pocket. We'll save that for another day. It has the sugar and the sweetener, but I don't use a sweetener, but I save those because I know someone who does use them, and they will go to that person if necessary. Got the standard spoon. Got the standard FRH, which I don't use, but I save them. Of course, I use my titanium sword, so I save these spoons. That will go into my bag of plastic utensils. Got the beverage bag, again, which I do not use, but I save them. I actually like to store small items in these. I have several that are filled with the instant coffee packets. And this is the entree itself. And this is the lemonade drink powder. For the drinking jar. What I might actually do is warm the cobbler as well as this, and I might get a bowl and put the pound cake into the bowl, or at least some of it, and then put the warmed cobbler on top of that. Got prepper for the ages in the house. I just decided to dump everything else out of the accessory pack. So got the Bill's Brew, the creamer, the peppermint gum, which I am not much of a gum chewer, but I do save them. The Lighthouse Rear Roll. I have a bag full of those. This Splenda will get put aside, as I said. Got the regular sugar, minuscule salt packet, which really isn't. You couldn't take off an FRH with that. And then the moist towelette, I got a bag full of those. Spicy tuna rolls is here. Well, that one didn't rip very good. So that is the Bill's Brew. I'm switching to my little scissors. There really wasn't much of a tear notch on that creamer packet. This Enjoy sugar is from a company that primarily markets to either food service corporate type suppliers or maybe schools who may set up accounts with these various food service companies like Cisco, or you can sometimes buy containers of them at Sam's Club. I've seen them there. This is the sugar-free drink mix. Very, very powdery. Very slight yellow tinge to it. These stick drink mixes are primarily meant for a larger size water bottle, like this size. This holds 500 mils, or just a little bit over 2 cups. But I stick with using the drinking jar because it does make it a little bit stronger flavored. Plus, it's easy to show the powder in here. I do have a taller clear glass, but I just don't like messing with the tall ones. Because this is not a sugar-based drink mix, that will not need any more mixing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take both of these into the kitchen. Now put them into the water. And then when I pour the water into my coffee, I'm going to put my pound cake on top of that. So warm it that way. But first I will take both of these into the kitchen. While I'm in there, I will get a bowl for the cobbler. I am back. Put that back there. And I'm going to put the pound cake on top of that. Then I have the bowl. That will be for the cobbler. I'm kneading the cheese spread. The Carlos Perry's here. Thanks for dropping in. I'm actually going to stick that in a pocket. My body heat will work on that. These are the chipotle tortillas. Now this packaging has actually changed a little bit with some of these. You can see the difference in the color. Compared to this is a lighter. This has a Sterling Foods logo only on the other side. See. Same with the pound cake. Yeah, I do have a cornbread, but I'm saving that one for when I get a Canadian ration with a cornbread, or someone sends me a loose Canadian cornbread. Because what I want to do is do a direct comparison between the American and Canadian cornbreads. Oxygen absorber inside there. One time, and one time only, I found some chipotle tortillas in a local grocery store, but I have not seen them since. I don't know if I need to try different stores than where I normally go. These will most likely break because I decided not to heat them. But what I think I'm going to do anyway, I'm actually going to go ahead and tear them in half. So that is the look of this side. I'm going to go ahead and put the M&Ms there. Flip the pound cake over. Again, this bowl will be for the cobbler. And then when I bring that back along with the beef with black beans, I'm going to take some of the apple pound cake, I'm going to break it up and put it in this bowl, and then I will put the cobbler on top of that. Now we got a small amount of snow yesterday morning, not even a half inch, and that's pretty much it. Then it was just plain cold. So we were forecast to get between 1 and 3, but we did not get any more yesterday afternoon. It just plain stayed cold. So that's what people are dealing with here in Iowa. So I'm actually going to leave these tortillas here like that. Then I got the cheese spread. And in my pocket. So I'm going to go get the 2 pouches out of the kitchen, and I'll be right back. I am back. There I got the 2 pouches. The beef with black beans is on top. Got a paper towel to dry them off with. I will go ahead and do the cobbler first. I'll go ahead and put that bowl right on top of the tortillas. Oop, wrong side. Because the tare notch goes across this way, I like to shake it down Oh, that didn't work. Have to try. Sometimes these things don't tear very well, but there we go. Actually, I'm gonna lean that against the bowl. Opening up the pound cake. I pop the oxygen absorber off. Using the MRE bag as a trash bag. I'm breaking up the pound cake. It's part of it, because I want to eat some of this pound cake by itself. I will put that bowl there. And doing the same thing with the entree. There, that was a good rip. That's as much as I'm going to get out of that. There's bits of tomato. The beef chunks looks kind of like what you would get in the discontinued brisket entree or the beef strips. There's corn in there. There's the black beans. Tim Riley in the house. So again, I took the applesauce pound cake, I broke it in half, I put it down into the bowl, and I put the cobbler on top of that. I warmed the pound cake up on top of my coffee mug after I poured the water in and stirred it. And I heated the cobbler in the pot with the entree. I'll get the cheese spread out of my pocket. I just cut a corner off of it. I squeezed some of the cheese onto the other tortilla, which I went ahead and tore in half. I'm just going to squeeze the rest of it up towards the hole that I cut. And I'll just leave that like that. Yeah, it is supposed to warm up a little bit. Highs in the 20s and 30s Fahrenheit. But then back into the teens. But it doesn't look like any more snow coming down. There is a piece. Looks like green bell pepper in there. There's a piece of beef and a couple of the beans. A chili-like spice. Definitely cumin is in there. So there is corn. The corn has not gone to mush. There's a tomato in there. This is one of the better mains. I hope this one sticks around for a while, especially with the chipotle tortillas. course, I got to have a little fun with this. If this was the jalapeno cheese, it would be even better. Now, this one did not include any kind of hot sauce or a powder or a packet of chili flake. That probably would be a disappointment to some soldiers in the field. The cheese will add some saltiness to it since this is a salty cheese. But with the tortilla sitting underneath it for a while, that'll get softened up. You can cut it with a spoon. And that'll give it a bit of that spice to it. Yeah, lemonade is a good drink choice. I'm glad it was in there instead of that protein shake. I would have gone into my stash of ration components and got a different drink mix had it had that shake in it. There's Mike Kreischer in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Menu 24 going on. Yeah, I watched a video from someone in Pennsylvania, and when she ended that particular video because she wanted to get it out this afternoon while there was still plenty of light outside, she had at least 8 inches of snow. So her husband went up on the roof and shoveled the roof off in order to avoid too much snow load on it. It's still coming down. So they got extra wood inside for the stove, which is their heat source. They had their power stations all charged up. And they have oil lamps lit, so each one of those will provide a little bit of heat in addition to some light. Nation MRE finds in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Haven't seen you in a minute. Hope everything is going well for you. Hope you're not in several feet of the white stuff. Here in Iowa, we didn't get much snow at all. No reports of power outages going on here. I'm going to go ahead and dip this tortilla with some of the cheese spread in it into that sauce. But the Southwest beans and black beans, Southwest beef and black beans, that is a good one for a cold day. I tore one of the tortillas in half and put it down first. And I got the entree on top of it. I got some of the cheese spread in there. This entree would be good over rice. It would be good over mashed potatoes. It would be good over pasta. Yeah, and if the wind is blowing, like it was in this woman's video, it was hard to get an accurate measurement. And I think we've all seen those images that whoever posted those says it's from some place in Russia where the snow was so deep that it almost buried like 5- and 6-story apartment or other buildings. In fact, today, the sun was out for a while. It melted a little bit of the snow that was in the parking lot, where it gets afternoon and evening sun exposure. A lot of that snow is pretty much gone. Plus, people driving on it, the heat from the exhaust will melt some of the snow. In fact, the snow is melted off of my deck pretty much. Yeah. According to one of these posts that I saw, it was somewhere in eastern Russia. So that'd be closer to Alaska. Than it would be to Europe and the northern parts of Canada and Greenland. But if those are legit images and not created by AI, I would not want to be in that location. Now, Friday here, for a good share of the state, schools were canceled. So I wore my long johns underneath my pants when I went to the mosque. Yesterday, I didn't go off property. I just went, I took out a bag of trash and I went to check the mailbox. There's nothing in it, but I went to check it. That's it. That's all I did yesterday as far as going outside. Got Bill's Brew in the mug. I had some G7 on standby in case this one did not come with coffee, so I'll save that for another day. It was 12 degrees Fahrenheit at my last check shortly before going live. So at least there's no minus. The temp may have gone down. Well, it's 8 degrees. Well, this one is showing 8 degrees. Oop. I have to wait for that notification to clear off. I'm going to open up the weather completely. Feels like minus 12. Oh, that's got, nope, that just went down to 6. So the wind chill is still minus 12. Get that out of the way. Yeah, some That's actually a good idea to wait until later to go to work or go to school. Gives crews more time to clear the streets, and maybe people can clear their sidewalks, or contractors can do that if that's what they do. And maybe just warm up a couple of degrees. I haven't checked to see if schools here will have a late start, like sometimes they'll do. Yeah, 27 is definitely warm compared to what we got now. But if it's really strong wind, it's not going to feel like 27. It'll feel a lot colder than that. Gonna have another drink of the lemonade. Yeah, easiest way is to check with local TV and radio stations, their websites, or if you use their apps, they usually post delays and closings related to schools. And a lot of them today were probably posting up church service cancellations. I have seen that here. Although I did not see anything like that today because we don't have any snow or high wind, just the cold. No power outages that I've heard about or seen notices of. That's funny. I would have put a pair of long johns on underneath my pajama pants. And because I also have a long nightgown that almost goes down to my ankles, that would have covered up my legs even more. So I'm going to take a bite of this cake first. That is what it looks like on the inside. Actual pieces of spiced apple, like what you would get in apple pie filling, or the spiced apples that you would get in an MRE or First Strike ration, or one of the more packs, whatever they choose to put in them. But it's a bit dry. Oh, there's for an MRE dropping that super chat, saying hi to everybody. Thanks for dropping in. I'm still bummed out about dropping my foreign MRE mug. I haven't found anyone yet who has a replacement I could buy off of them. I miss using that mug. I mean, I have others, but I would still like to have that one back in rotation. But thanks for dropping in. I hope you and Nina are staying warm down there in Texas. I'm going to take a bite. I busted up some of the cake and I put it in the bowl, and then I put the hot cobbler on top of that. That tastes pretty good. Oh, the apple does kind of compete with the cobbler flavor, but it still tastes pretty good. The oatmeal cookie that has a little bit of cinnamon in it, I like breaking that up and then putting a hot cobbler on top of that. But that applesauce pound cake does taste pretty good with that, and it soaks up a lot of the sauce. Oh wow, tell her, yeah, thanks Nina. I'd certainly appreciate it. Of course, I'm still using that spork. I have another one in my bag that I keep my camp utensils and cookware in. And I have another one somewhere else that will be included in a giveaway. In fact, the little pouch that spork came in holds several sporks that I keep in there. I keep several in there in case someone that I may be camping with would need an eating utensil. And one time someone did, so I lent one of my sporks. So that worked out perfect. I'm just looking at the chat. Yeah, I really like using the spork for the reviews. I save all of the utensils that I get from rations. So this spoon will go into a bag that I have that is full of spoons from rations and a few that I've gotten elsewhere. even those tiny little things that you get in those tuna and chicken salad snack packs. That are no longer than this piece of tortilla is. Like, yeah, I even saved those little things. So that Canadian spork that I got last Sunday went into another bag that has forks and sporks in it. And those two little containers that had the seasoned tuna in it, they had a foldable spork in there. Those two went into that bag. I used another spoon to eat those two tunas, and because they're plastic containers, I just washed them out, and they're the perfect size to put a little something in. They're not airtight, but they could still come in handy, so I saved those. I can reuse those instead of tossing them in the trash. Yeah, I saved all of those as well. You don't get those anymore, apparently. I have that RCIR that I got from that I got along with that Dutch ration. I do not know if there is a utensil in that, but if there was, that one will get added to my collection. I got a bag that this rear roll will go into. Same with the wet wipes, I saved those. Not only would they make good barter items, but if I need to take a couple of those with me somewhere, then I can grab one of those. Although I keep a travel pack of wet ones in my daily bag. I have another one in my get home bag. But as I said earlier, these beverage bags, I have the instant coffee packets that I've been getting. I will fill one of these up, stick however many packets in there I can, call that good. So I got a couple of these. I got Canadian beverage bag filled up with the instant coffee. I have Ziploc bags The sandwich bags is what I use for them because they fit just right when you lay them down lengthwise in the bottom of the bag. So that way I can take some of those with me. I can replenish my camping food bag. Although I would be more likely to go with my 3-in-1 coffees. But I'll put just a plain coffee packets in there with creamer and sugar and call that good. Now the French rations still have the tissue packets, which are like a smaller version of what you get in the British rations. You get those same size ones in the La Brioute kosher accessory packs. When you get the full La Brioute rations, you get those tissue packets in there. I have all those saved up. So ready to barter those out or hand them out as needed. Oh, salmon paella? That French RCIR with the salmon paella? It would be interesting to compare that with the paella that was in one of the Chilean DAF rations. Yeah, this is one of those stick drink packets that have the artificial sweetener that usually call for a standard 500 ml water bottle, which my camo bottle does hold that amount, but this one, I maxed it out at approximately 13 ounces. So I mix that about 12 ounces, and that is the strength that I like. Okay, yeah. I like that salmon paella. I like the paella in the DAF ration. I would definitely chow down on that again. But then again, I like stuff like that. Now, the instant coffee from the DAF rations, out of all of the plain instant coffees, that one is pretty high up on my list. Next to the old instant type 1 from older US rations. I'm going to put a little bit of that on my last bite of the tortilla with the cheese spread in it. Finish off most of that. Actually, I'm going to dip the cake into the coffee. It moistens the cake for sure, but I would probably prefer a different flavor to dip into the coffee. But putting this cobbler on top of the cake, I had a feeling this would work. Well, actually, coffee has never really made me jittery. Of course, after I drink my usual amount of coffee in the morning, then I switch to tea. Though I did drink some of the cocoa mix that my mom had given everybody last month. That's a really nice cocoa mix. That's a good brand. Yeah, when you're when you drink it a lot more, like one job that I had where I worked in an office, there was coffee in the break room. But sometimes I just took mine from home. And when I did my home care job and I was going all over the city and some of the suburbs, I would have my travel mug full of it, especially on the cold days. That way I would have something to warm me up, either in between client visits while I'm riding the bus or waiting for a bus, or I would sip on it now and then while I'm doing my work with that client. Yeah, I don't use the caffeine pills. There are a couple of different brands out there. There's the No Dose, and there's another brand, I can't think of the name of it right now. But of course, I do have the military energy gum, which is caffeinated, and then I have those caffeinated mints that came out of U.S. rations. Plus, I have some that I had found on Amazon. But I keep all those sealed up in case I need to actually use them. So whenever I get any of those, they just get added to my stash. But I might buy some of those caffeine pills just to add them to my stash as well. There are some over-the-counter pain relievers that actually have a little bit of caffeine in them that is supposed to help enhance the effect of those pills. I think I've heard a couple people say that they didn't like those, but nevertheless, I'm not getting rid of them. Because who knows, they may get me out of a jam one day, or they may get someone else out of a jam. They were made for a purpose, and so I would use them for that purpose. Now, if there would be an apple cobbler put into a retort pouch, then this apple pound cake would be really good with that. Now, some of these M&Ms look a little weird, but once in a while you'll get one of these that only has half a peanut, like that one, or you get one that's so small that the chocolate missed the peanut entirely, but they still end up in the bag with the rest of them. They don't get discarded. Nope, they're the wrong shape for Skittles. and Skittles are smaller. These are the peanut M&Ms. I dug the packet out. $7.20 of 25 is the best buy date on this. So not too old. And Skittles would have different colors. I don't think you would ever see brown Skittles. Yeah, pick up a brown one. So I have to look at my tablet just to make sure that I get it in view. But I hope you saw that M on there. No, it's too late. I ate them all colors. I don't care. Although I tend to save the green ones for last because green is my favorite color. Not that there's any difference in the taste. I'm going for some more of my cobbler. Actually, I would be more likely to see a brown Jelly Belly than a brown Skittle. Especially out of those Jelly Belly packs that you get those mixes where you get different flavors, and then you got two similar looking ones. One is one flavor and then the other is a different flavor, but you don't know which one is which until you eat it. I think you know the packs I'm talking about, the ones with the strange flavors that look similar to ones that have expected flavors. haven't heard any noise from my cat, so I think she's asleep. I have my wool blanket rolled out on my bed, so she has been sleeping on that. She will occasionally sleep on my towel stack in the bathroom. And when she does that, I keep one towel as a top towel all the time. That's the one she lays on. When I want to change towels, I take from underneath that one. That way I don't get a towel full of cat hair. Yeah, the black ones are pretty good. So are some of the green ones. But I like them all. I don't buy them very often. I don't buy as much candy as I used to. It's just when I really get in the mood for it. I finished that off. Was the cobbler. And what I did was I took half of the pound cake, that applesauce pound cake. I broke it up, put it into the bowl, and then I put the heated cobbler on top of that and just allowed that to sit and soak into the cake. And then the rest of the cake I had here, and I just ate that plain. I happen to like the blueberry in there. You do get the blueberry seeds. But they're so small, they don't bother me. They would bother my mom because her gums are very sensitive, and when small seeds get underneath her dentures, that really irritates them. In previous MREs with the cobbler, I got in the cookie. The oatmeal cookie, I'll break that cookie up, and then put that into the bowl, and then put the cobbler on top of that. And then the Chilean duff rations, that berries jam, I would break up what I call the big cracker, which is actually a sweet cookie. I would heat up that berry jam and put that on top of those broken cookies. Basically turn that into a ration cobbler. That's how I like to do those. Well, if some people have a problem with blueberry, well, I don't. I had a whole bunch of frozen blueberries plus dried blueberries when we had our International Food Day at the mosque. I made a blueberry compote following a Polish recipe. I had a few fresh strawberries, so I just threw them in. I threw in a few cloves, not too many, some powdered cinnamon because I did not have any cinnamon sticks, which I would have fished out, but the cinnamon powder, I was fine with that. I put in some sugar, not a whole lot. And then what was not served there, I put it into gallon Ziploc bags. Then I double bagged it after. Actually, I allowed the pot to cool in the fridge. Then it was fully cooled. I bagged it up and then put it in the freezer there. And then stored it there until I had room in my own freezer. Or then I just put it in the fridge shortly before I was getting ready to go to the White Eagle powwow, and then I took it there and served it there. And a couple people split off some of that to take home. And then what was left had like 1.5 bags left that I took home. Because I made this huge pot of it. And so I just ate out of that for a few days until I finished that off. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. Yeah, Matt Hake of This and That with Matt is who I got the Dutch ration and the RCIR from. He threw that in because he got delayed in sending out the Dutch ration. So that is the one that I paid for. He just threw in the RCIR as an extra, so I will get into both of those after Ramadan. So when I got this MRE out, I moved a couple other ration bags around, and I put one of the Chinese rations into what I call my main ration box, the one that I usually pick from, and then I move others from another box to fill that main one back up. Shadow Scout Suite in the house. It is already Monday morning. Over there in his little piece of Sweden, they got a bunch of snow over there earlier this month. Last two M&Ms, the two green ones that were in the pack. This was my dinner. This one had coffee in it, so I did not have to go to my backup plan. It had the chipotle tortillas, which have a bit of an orange color to them. I tore both of those in half. I put the two halves of one down here, and then I put the beef with black beans on top of that. And then the other tortilla got some of the cheese spread, and then I put the rest of the cheese spread in with the beef and black beans. So I just finished off the peanut M&Ms. And the dessert was actually two. Had the spiced apple, the applesauce pound cake. I took half of that, put that in this bowl. I had heated up the cherry blueberry cobbler along with the beef and black beans. And then I put that hot cobbler on top of the cake pieces and just let that sit. And the cake absorbed a lot of that sauce from the cobbler. And got the lemonade in the old drinking jar. Yeah, better have that shovel or snowblower ready, unless someone else does it. The company that manages this apartment complex I live in, they will call a snow removal guy who has a plow on a truck and will come plow the driveways and parking lots. And if there's enough snow to run a snowblower, then somebody will do that. Otherwise, someone just may move it with a shovel if there's not enough to run a snowblower. We did not get any ice, no freezing rain, no sleet, nothing like that. Just a little bit of snow yesterday morning, just enough to make everything white. And with today's sun, some of that actually melted or evaporated. I had a little bit of snow on my deck, and that was gone by this afternoon. But we're supposed to be on that temperature roller coaster all this coming week up through the end of the month, where we may have highs in the 20s and 30s Fahrenheit, and then some days it'll be in the teens. And lows like single digits and teens. It'll just keep on that temperature roller coaster, but it doesn't look like much for any snow during that time period, but who knows, that could change. This big storm that's been wreaking havoc south of here has really done a number on a whole bunch of states. Like 22 states and DC, where DeCarlos is, they had declared states of emergency for weather because of the expected impact of the snow and ice and wind and really cold temps. Even Florida got really cold, at least cold for them. Even South Texas got cold. So people who live in the southern states and in up the East Coast, any who are YouTubers, are posting their pre-storm prep and then showing what it's like during and after. There are going to be a lot of those videos or posts put up about it, on Facebook and Instagram, or maybe X or whatever other social media platforms they use. Yep, Shadow likes to have breakfast first, then his coffee. Now, when Ramadan starts and I'm doing my fasting, I will eat before first light. And yes, I will have a cup of coffee. So then I just usually make it simple. I have a few dates, maybe a bowl of cereal, and some granola bars or some other kind of like a protein bar or something like that. In the past, someone has given me some rice pudding in the little cups. You can get those at Costco. I think they come in like a box of 12. And someone has given me those. I may eat one of those because I stick those in my fridge. I pull one of those out and eat that. Just quick, simple After all, it's just me and the cat. I don't have anyone to prepare food for. So then I'll take my morning meds again before first light, and then the morning prayer, and then I just go back to bed for a few hours. And then I'll get up, hop in the shower, get dressed, and do whatever I need to do around here. And then I go to the mosque and start getting stuff ready for the iftar dinner that we serve after sunset. We pray this. We break our fast with dates and a drink called mango lassi. At least the version that we've done for. It was served before I started attending there, so who knows how long. Decades at least. But that and a few dates, then the sunset prayer, and then we eat dinner, and then more praying after that. A lot more than on a usual night. And because Ramadan, the Islamic calendar follows the lunar cycle instead of the solar, it kind of floats around much like Easter floats around. Easter is not always on the same Sunday every year. So Ramadan floats. So we'll still have to do with the stupid time change, unfortunately. That's one thing I wish would stop. I'm tired of that stupid time change twice a year. It makes less sense than a $3 bill. So in a few years, my birthday will be during Ramadan. So on the Sundays during Ramadan, I won't be streaming. But we are thinking that February 18th may be the first day. So I will put up a post about not streaming until about the middle of March. Just in time to start thinking about what seeds I'm going to put in my pots. Thanks for dropping in, Waffles. I'm glad you got to see another one of these open up that you sent me. And that's greatly appreciated. Total surprise. Yeah, because of these MREs that he sent me, I'm still pretty well stocked up into this year. I'm still holding on to my one goulash MRE because I'm still hoping to find a Polish ration that has the goulash in it, the real goulash, not a can of spam type beef lunch meat. That was labeled goulash, but that's not what I expected. But that was still a good ration, just not what I thought I hoped for. But getting a Polish ration with the real goulash in it is going to be a lot harder with all of the stuff going on with trying to get rations from other countries. Now, the 2 Chinese rations that I did get were already in the US when I bought them. And the seller, they're 2 separate listings, but from the same seller, so the seller put them both into the one package. So I'm looking forward to digging into one of those. And because I think I've seen something similar reviewed on another channel, they have the same foam bags around with the FRH in it, like previous Chinese rations that I've reviewed. I saved those bags. In fact, when I did that MCW, I got one of those and I put the entree in it after I put the water in it to help hold the heat in. Plus, to kind of insulate it when I would shake the bag or to hold it while I check to see if I needed to add any more water to that seafood chowder. Yeah, those bags are perfectly good. You could put if you had the FRH outside, when it's cool outside, you could get your FRH going with your retort pouch in it, put it inside that foam bag. Now it kind of help hold the heat in a little bit better than that cardboard sleeve, which is open on both ends. I did not do that with that Korean entree because the way that pouch was shaped, it was too wide to put in that foam bag. But that's why I saved those foam bags from the Chinese rations. Of course, I save all these FRHs too. I got bags full of them. I'll even save the Chinese FRH as well because I figure I'm at home, I don't need to use it. They can go into my emergency stash of these. And lately, at least like the gray bag Chinese rations I reviewed, the heating element is not naked inside of the bag. It's in its own little packet. And because these are even newer rations, they will be the same as well. Which is actually nice. It keeps them cleaner. So I may do one of those next month. Now, February 1st will be the first Sunday next month. So the first 3 Sundays of February, I will do my Sunday night dinner. So the 15th of February will be the final one for that month. And then the 22nd of March will be when I get back to doing the Sunday night dinner after Ramadan. But again, I will be tossing a community post up about it. My shopping hauls for, at least the one for February, will probably be a little bit different because some of the food will be what I'm going to be eating for breakfast once Ramadan starts. And then for March, I may not do it until after Ramadan because I don't know what kind of time I'm going to have. At least when I will need to be at the mosque. In fact, I am going to be personally mixing up 2 fruit desserts, fruit mixes. One will be a recipe that I've done before, and it was a huge hit, especially with kids. So I will need to get the stuff for that. I want to have that in place. And then the other will be another recipe that someone else has, but I'll be the one putting that one together. Yeah, this fruit mix that I've done, I don't drain all of the liquid from the canned fruits. I save probably about at least 2/3 to 3/4 of it. And then I may add cut apples. I may add raisins. Nuts are an option. I did halal marshmallows in it. Of course, that would be an option. But the thing is, the instant Jello, the instant vanilla pudding mix, I just dump that pudding mix in with the fruit and the liquid and then mix that up, and then that becomes a sauce for the fruit. You know, just your basic canned fruit like pears, peaches, pineapple, mandarin oranges. I had cut up bananas and put it in one of these times. I've done it in the past. Maybe add the tropical fruits like the papaya, passion fruit. You know, I will get all that set up. I'll have that all there ahead of time. And someone has offered to help me pay for it, like the canned fruit. Get the number 10 cans. We have one of those crank can openers at the mosque that I had donated, which are better for opening the number 10 cans. I have one here at home. And I've used that same can opener on the smaller cans as well. It just takes so much less time to turn that crank than that little twist handle. I could have a number 10 can opened up before someone uses one of the other can openers on a standard 15-ounce can. Well, that's okay, DeCarlos. We understand. If you got to take some me time, yeah, my mom is like that every year when it comes to my late dad's birthday. Plus, what was their anniversary. Those are the hardest days for her, as I am sure they are for you. But you got to do what you got to do to deal with it. But just remember, you're not going to be dealing with it alone. You can always give any of us a yell. Yeah, my oldest sister lost her husband from cancer. Just about 2 months after losing her father-in-law. Also from cancer, so. Last year was not a good year, and with this loss already this year, her in-laws have some stuff to deal with. They got 2 estates to settle. They got to deal with all the stuff that they left behind. What is going to be dispersed to other members of the family, what is going to be kept at her house, what is going to be tossed. or maybe taken to a thrift store or sold or whatever they choose to do. Yeah, like what he had acquired some gold coins and some collectible silver coins that were left behind when tenants moved out of apartments that they vacated, and they left those behind. My dad could not contact them to see if they wanted them, so he kept them. Then after he died, my mom sold those in order to get money to pay for some final expenses. So they came in handy. Of course, if she waited until now to sell them, she'll get a lot more for them. But my oldest sister's husband had a small coin collection that she did not know about. But now that she has those, and with the current spot prices of silver and gold, if she needs to sell them in order to get money to pay for final expenses, she will be able to do that. Otherwise, she may hold on to them unless she chooses to give them to my niece and my younger nephew. But she has those. So whatever she chooses to do with them, they will come in handy when she actually needs to sell them to get money to take care of some unexpected expense. Yeah, you're not the only one who would feel that way. A lot of people do feel that. It's just one of those things that they have to work through. But everybody has to handle it in their own way. Sometimes they reach out to other people just to have a listening ear, or maybe get some kind of advice. It could be spiritual advice if you seek out a minister of whatever religion you, you practice, or just a grief counselor of some kind. There are people who are out there ready to at least be a good ear. So like I said, you're not going to face this alone. You got a whole bunch of friends who will have your back. In fact, I was that listening ear back in 2011 when a local here lost both of his parents within the span of a week. And he just wanted someone to listen. And so I told him, just let it out. Say whatever you feel like you need to say. I'm just going to listen. I'm just going to be here. give you that emotional support that you need. And so that's what I did. I didn't say a whole lot back other than just letting him know that I've lost a parent. I know what it's like. Because my dad had only died 3 years prior. So that was still very fresh in my mind. So I still have my mom. I am very thankful for that, but I know her time will come. So I will deal with that as that happens, and I will be there to help my siblings go through that process. But all you have to do is, if you need someone, just for emotional support, you know where you can find any of us. And we will continue to pray that you can get back that relationship with your son. So that you can continue to be the best dad you can for him. Yeah, a lot of people like to think that. You know, there's a Facebook friend that I have who had to go through the loss of two children in their younger days. One of them only living maybe a couple of weeks, if that. And she had to go through that process of wondering why she lost two young children instead of them having the long life in place of her. But she's going to be dealing with that for the rest of her life. It really rips on the emotions. I really hope that that situation can get worked out. because too many times kids get caught up in the middle and they are told a bunch of lies to the point where they actually believe them, even after they later find out the truth. The damage has already been done. I just hope that it doesn't get that way with him, but that's just one of those things that you gotta deal with. We would all love to see him coming back to live with you where he belongs. Getting jerked around like that after facing such a loss doesn't do anybody any good. Unfortunately, I don't know what else I can say right now. I mean, I don't want to feel like I'm kind of saying stuff just to say stuff. Just want to let you know that you got friends who got your back. Yeah, that would actually be a good idea. Plus, that way, having them up on YouTube, should something happen to your own copies of those videos, they will be there so you can still have access to those. Yeah, that'll be very good. And if others can see them as well, they will know the kind of person that you are with him. And you could even make video montages with pictures. I'm not sure how to do that. I've never tried that myself, making a video out of a stream of pictures, but I've seen that done on other channels. People do memory videos of a pet that crossed the Rainbow Bridge or a loved one who recently died. That's what other YouTubers have done, is make those make videos out of strings of pictures. That would be something else that you could do as well. Yep, there you go. As you being a party to the case, you should have every right to those transcripts. having those backed up in whatever form you can, that's another good thing you can do. Maybe sometime down the road, all that will come back to be used to your advantage, and something can happen in your favor. We can hope for that. I hope that does happen. But doing whatever you can now to get all that stuff saved in multiple places, have it stored on devices at home, have it online. So should you lose what you have at home, you still got those online copies you can pull down as necessary. That has worked for other people. And problems did get solved. Sometimes not, but at least having all that stuff saved in different ways will do you good. That finished off the lemonade. I just finished off the lemonade. All I got is my coffee left. I just hope 2026 will be a whole lot better than 25. As long as we do the best that we can with what we got and get ready for whatever may happen, like this big storm. I think we'll be better for it. I prepared for this just like I was in the target area for the big snow, even though I'm not. I just don't want to take any chances. But anyway, I want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight for this menu 24. I'll be back with something on the 1st of February, so this is obviously the last Sunday of January. Again, I want to thank you all for watching and catch you on the flip side.